Today what I thought I was going to do is just record something a little bit different and just kind of show an idea of what it looks like me just topping off the water in my tanks. Like, what do I have to do here? And so what we have here is 4 10-gallon tanks on the bottom part of a rack. Ignore the right side. That's like a wall that I have. It's a interior wall. At some point I want to do something with that because it's got some key things in it that probably need to protect it from water. But what I have is 4 10-gallon aquariums here. I have one light that stretches across all of them. An aquarium, like a Hygger light. And so the attempt here is just to provide 10-gallon aquariums for raising guppies, some mollies, not Somalis, mollies, and more guppies, and some shrimp too. They're heated, so we can keep them to about 65, 70 degrees. The basement down here, we're starting to get to the point where the basement starts to decrease in temperature quite a bit because the air conditioner starts kicking in, and the air conditioning down here is dim. So this video is not sponsored by that can you see there. That just happens to be a can that sits there when I'm trying to do some of my stuff. But what I'm gonna do in this video is actually fill up some of the water and then kind of show how I pour it in. It's a pretty cool system, and I'll explain kind of the equipment I'm using. So I want to make sure all of these tanks, all my lids are open when I start. That one's open, that one's open, that one's open, that one's open. So we got all 4 open. Then I want to make sure I've got my white bucket. Doesn't matter which color really, but I've been going using the white 5-gallon buckets. This one's from Walmart. As I walk away, it's gonna be harder to hear me, but I'm going over here to a faucet that I have in my basement. The good thing about that faucet is it bypasses our soft water softener, and I want to keep some of the minerals in the water for these fish, because the fish I keep are more of the hard water species like black mollies, platies, and other fish like that. Guppies. So that was the cold water, and then the hot water I actually get from the tap. So this is me wandering back, and the pour you hear is me pouring hot water from the tap, which is softened, into my bucket. Ah, satisfying. Good thing I went to the bathroom because that would have triggered me to go to the bathroom. And right now, water's fairly cold, so I'll do another hot water grab. Let's go and I think we can move these things. And you might be able to see my black mollies back there in their own 20-gallon. Let's zoom in on those bad. Oops. Let's zoom in on those bad boys. We'll do that. So for the time being, we'll keep it like that. And then come back. I'll just show myself like pouring water. I'll be like, wee, pouring water, wee, pouring water. Yeah, we'll do that. So got a bunch of these from Rubbermaid. Pretty big, and it holds hot water. So I just grab a bunch of hot water and then from the tap and put it in. What happens is you got really hard water coming from the cold tap that bypasses the water softener, and then I've got hot water that I can bring in from the faucet here in the downstairs kitchenette, and so I combine that into the 5-gallon bucket to get the water fairly close. Doesn't have to be perfect to what we have here. And yeah, that was a good idea. Check out those little black mollies like running around. Kind of cool. They're chasing something. I think they got little pieces of algae wafers I throw in there, and they're chasing the guy that has them and trying to steal that algae wafer away from them. But the next thing will be more hot water, and then just topping off these tanks. Approximately, it's about 5 gallons worth that needs to be done, so I should be able to top off the bottom ones here just using this 5-gallon bucket. So what I can do is move this around. Soothing. What I can do is move this around to the front to kind of give you an idea of what that looks like. It's going to be a little shaky here for a few minutes or a few seconds. Oh, that wasn't planned. I'll bring it in kind of high, and then we'll expand out. And you can see what I'm working with over here. So these are the 4 10-gallons. We're looking at it straight on. You can see the mostly mutt guppies on the left. I've got wagtail platies in the second one. I've got red blonde guppies in the third, and the fourth, in the bottom right, I've got the whatever they're called. Some kind of platy. Oops, and I move things over with my butt because I'm kind of a large individual, and I put things within range of my legs. So next thing I need to do is condition the water. It's a 5-gallon bucket, and so you don't really need to use much prime, but that's what I'm using here. I've been using prime for a while now. It's expensive, but it's really not because you don't really use much at a time. So there's prime. And since I'm only doing 5 gallons of bucket, I just fill it up to like the bottom. Like they have those little rings on the bottom. I only fill it up barely to the second one. That's enough for 5 gallons. Let it sit for like just a little bit, and then fill these up one by one. Let's see if I can do this from this angle. I got a chair over here, and I got a bunch of stuff stacked up on our bucket. So I guess I could have used the other bucket. So I'll put this down somewhere so I don't lose it, and don't put it somewhere if it spills that it won't make everything horrible. Bring over my 5-gallon bucket, and then use the secret weapon of choice It's $1.25, and it comes from Dollar Tree. And just on my head probably. It is easily just this canister. And so the secret of this canister is, you see that hole on the there? I can literally just stick it straight down into a 5-gallon bucket and fill up the water. I have to be careful right now. You're looking at my hair. I'll just let it go. We'll pick that up. So, displacement of water, and now I got water everywhere. So I gotta clean that up. Yeah. But I'm in the basement, so it's not horrible. Let's try to figure this out. But that hole in the handle is key, because it allows me to not displace as much water, but oops, I hit that with my belly. It allows me to displace as much water, but I still displace some. And did I lose it? Kind of, but not really. I have another one. I bought about 3 of these, and I also have 2 others that are currently still in stock. But yeah, if you got aquariums and you're worried about trying to fill them up, like I did for a while, these things from Dollar Tree are really cool. So here on the left, you should be able to see me getting it down to the tip, pouring them in, and you're seeing me pour that water. Now, I don't necessarily have any water change systems yet. I've got just enough tanks, or just few enough tanks, that I do enjoy just doing this on its own. But if you see on this setup, it's a pretty strong rack that I got from Menards. But I still put a couple of 2x4x6s, I believe they are, because I think this is 72 inches across. Maybe it's not 72, maybe it's less than that, but 2x4s to even out that weight across one item. That makes sense. Otherwise we would have 4 blocks of about 80 pounds, maybe 100 pounds each, with each 10-gallon, and there'd be some spots in there where there's nothing, and there's another one. So putting the 2x4 helps me kind of redistribute that weight, right? And so as we fill this up, we're just simply filling up some water that evaporated while I was gone for about a week, and wasn't able to get to these aquariums. Everyone survived, but water's low, and most likely the dissolved solids are really, really high. And this is our way to help dilute things, right? So there might be a little bit of nitrate in there, maybe some extra solids, and so this will help replenish fresh water, fresh non-chlorinated water, to go along with replenishing the calcium, because I think these plants still soak up a little bit of calcium, and my fish require it. I like calcium. So do the shrimp that I have. The shrimp that I have are Neocaridina shrimp. They're like the red cherry shrimp, Bloody Mary shrimp, even some blue velvet, blue diamond shrimp. And so that's what we do. That's what I do across the thing. I'm going kind of slower right now because I'm kind of explaining as I go. But if you notice, you don't notice, but the water does kind of drip off my watering can. And so what I make sure I try to do is make sure there's something below it. Sometimes it's the 5-gallon bucket, what it drops into. Oops, sorry again. Sometimes it's the It's a towel. So on the left side, when I do this, it's a towel. On the right side, when I do this, it's a bucket. And since my floor here in the basement is a cement floor, any water that falls, it's a easy cleanup. But the thing we gotta be careful with these cheap watering cans is at the very neck of them. It's on the neck. They're not quite as deep as they need to be to pour water that's really deep in here. And so sometimes if you try and pour it too quickly, it'll come out the side. But this one's not, so we'll just pour that in fast. Notice how that moam kicking up. That's fine. I want that moam kicking up, honestly, because it's helping move some of that, flipping some of that detritus and old plant matter and stuff around. So this one is low enough. I can probably go pretty fast with it. Again, fast. Whoosh. Detritus, cloudiness. Good. Kick that up. And as I get these closer and closer to the top, with these tanks, I don't necessarily get them to the rim because a lot of times I am working on in the tank. I might be in there trying to pull some weeds out or do some maintenance so I can actually see into it, like do some algae maintenance. And again, water displacement. So if I put my hand in there and have equipment in there, it's going to displace that water up. And what you should be seeing here is the water level not necessarily looking even. And what I found is each aquarium has its own, like, oh shit, oh darn, I mean, has its own tolerance of left to right deal. And the fact that I have a 2x4 on there, that 2x4 is not necessarily completely level. So each aquarium on a small scale is kind of tipping, but it's the 10 gallons, in my opinion, don't have an issue with that. Plus they're also against each other here as well. So now I'm getting to the point where I can pour from the 5 gallon over to the watering can. This gets a little bit less messy because I don't have water dripping off it anymore. But this part can still be messy if I see it's overflowing just a little bit. But I think I already did that one already. Come over here to the right one and do that. So what this does is it dilutes any of the nitrates that are in there. It'll obviously it'll increase some of the calcium and other hardness. But if you live in a place that's soft water, you're not gonna get that calcium buildup that I get. But my theory is, and I've always kind of tried to look at this, is I have a bunch of snails that crop up in these things, and the snails, they generate their own shells, and those shells come from the carbonation or the carbonate solids that are in our water, and I think they're using them up for the shells to build the shells, right? But as the shells stay in the aquarium, I believe that once the snail dies, then that shell becomes something that dissolves back into the aquarium. And that's why I kind of keep those snail shells in there as well. That's just one thing I'm doing, walking through it's about a 10-minute process usually, but I'm taking my time. A 10-minute process to fill the water on the lower section of my aquarium. And the thing is, I don't mind doing it. Oh, this is going to be a spill. It's been on myself. Alright, so I'm trying to, that's how you do it. Alright, so, anyway. We got it over here. I think I got most of the excess out, so now we can pour it fast. That's that little nozzle, right? It allows me to pour in from a far away place and I don't run into this top up here. If I was trying to pour from a cup or from a 10 gallon bucket, it would be hard to do. So one more top off in all these aquariums, get them about even. And then the next step will be to, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the next step will be. But this is the boring aspect of me filling up and topping up my aquariums. And also you get to see some of the fish. These guys are the red blonde guppies. I'm starting to try and reestablish their line. I had a really, my strain kind of crashed. Yeah, I didn't mean to pour all that water in there, but maybe I did. The strain kind of crashed. A lot of my females were having issues with bent spines. And what we're seeing in there right now is maybe it's not as an issue as now, because I did get some male guppies from Imperial Tropicals. They weren't, I wouldn't say the most fanciest, but they at least seem to have a vibrant aspect about them. And hopefully having their genes in there, along with the females that I originally had, they're mixing and giving me these guppies that you're seeing over here. That one guy right there, he's bright red. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that even though the original males that I got weren't as bright red, didn't have as big of tails, I'm hoping that the strain of the females still carries through and still creates a strong guppy. And if it does, watch out, because we're going to have some good guppies here for Fish World in town. And if they continue to go, then I might try to see if I can give them more of the dance fish. But see that right aquarium right now? Look how leaning that is. It's kind of always been that way. And it's based off the 2x4. The 2x4 is starting to give a little bit in that spot. And it looks like to be a weak spot in the 2x4 too. And so it's doing that. But all the aquariums are kind of still leaning against each other. It's not individually. It's not an individual stress it's getting. And since I did not pass that class that talks about stress, then I don't know really what that's about. But that's filling up the bottom 4 aquariums here. Mixed guppies on the left, mostly red blondes and some others. And this is me shutting the lids. Oh shit, I just dropped some rubber bands in the tanks. That's fine. And would it be more efficient to just have different lids? Yep, it would. But I don't. And let's have one more look at all of them. Alright. See ya when I see ya. Chad out.